All right, so the last month, I haven't really posted anything since the Big Sky trip. I guess this is kind of what I've been working on in the last month. Basically, it's going to be a mini stand-on skid loader. I'm kind of looking for, I guess I'm looking to hopefully lift between 5 and 650 pounds with it. Kind of just an idea I saw online, and there wasn't a ton of videos kind of for me to base it off of, so I'm kind of just winging it the way I think it should be done. I have slacked a ton as far as taking progress videos on this, but I have it completely stripped down. I'm only building the bottom part of I guess just the skid frame right now. I'm gonna get it running and moving and working on its own power and everything. Then I'll start building the loader and the bucket and stuff like that when I source a couple more parts and get a couple more tools, hopefully. So I've got her stripped down just because I had it all tacked with all the pieces that I have for it and everything lined up perfect. So I kind of disassembled it, and I'm starting about quarter of the way done welding it. But I figured since it was stripped down, it's probably a good time to start taking some video, which I meant to do the whole time, but I didn't. So I guess we'll go over the frame. This is 3x3 quarter wall structural tubing, which I had basically the size that this is the exact amount of steel that I had laying. So, I mean, yeah, maybe I would have gone a little longer, a little wider, but this is the steel I had, and I think it worked out pretty good. So this is quarter wall. I've got 2 pillow blocks that wrap this. I hole sawed the center. I'm gonna run 1-inch axles, and then these are tapped for 5/8 on both sides. They're on the inside and outside. So there's 2 greasable pillow block bearings with a 1-inch shaft that comes out for the axle. Got 4. The uprates are 36 inches tall. This is kind of the spider web of metal that I have and built for all the parts to fit. So the front is this is gonna be where the tank sits. I've got that recessed for the lips of the tank, so it sits down flush and lays flat on the steel itself. These are the 2 drive motor brackets. I went with an 8-gallon tank here, and I'll show you the parts after we're done going through the frame. But I went with an 8-gallon tank. I've got, I think they're 9.8 cubic inch revs. I think that's what they're, I guess, spec'd as. So that'll come off of a 10-2 sprocket on here, and then there'll be a double sprocket here. So I went from 10 to 13, and there'll be a double 13 right next to each other. And then that 13 on the inside will come up and feed this other axle right here. It took a lot. I don't want to post all of the parts, and I don't really want people basing a build, because basically I kind of built this thing with a bunch of calculations. I am not a hydraulic wizard, so I used a bunch of calculators and flows and horsepower ratings to feel like I think everything's gonna work and fit. But right now it's kind of just a guesstimate until I can basically see this thing running in action. I'll give a parts list when I'm done. But yeah, that's gonna be the drive so far, and I got 2 drive motors per side. This is the mount plate for the motor. I got the new Harbor Freight 16 point whatever horsepower. Looks like it's got an oil pump and electric start. I was gonna initially go with I think they had a 13, but I was kind of struggling to pick a pump that I thought was gonna give PSI and flow at the same time with that horsepower. So I started kind of looking at the bigger block engines, and go figure, while we were in Montana skiing, boom, Harbor Freight pulls out the next best motor. So I think it was an extra $75, and I got that. So that's gonna sit right here, though I haven't done a battery tray, which I think I'm just gonna kind of do like a inverted angle iron to just sit a mower battery for right now. So that's what I got tacked up right now. And then just these, I just got these capped, and then I have 2 angle iron coming across to mount the 5-spool valve. So they will be, I guess, 2 drives for each side, one for the loader, one for the bucket, and then I'm gonna run the center spool as basically a auxiliary port that'll go down to the front for grapple eventually, I think. And whatever else I want to run, if I want to build a, you know, post hole digger or a snow blade with tilt, I can now do that. I have some things for the loader. My dad had 2 matching hydraulic cylinders and 1 oddball, so I'm going to do 2 cylinders for the loader arms, and then I'm going to do 1 for the bucket. So that should get me started. I think they're just a little bit big, but it should have a ton of power, and I should have the flow and PSI and everything right to run those just fine. I guess just with everything tacked up, I'll go over some parts that I have. I have these 8 pillow blocks. Like I said, that kind of hug that tubular frame, and then they thread in on both sides. I went with 1-inch keyed axle shaft. I need to thread both of these sides for 1-inch fine thread to kind of captivate the sprockets. Everything's keyed, but I want to just kind of cap it with nuts on both sides, just, you know, skidding back and forth and stuff like that. I don't want to wobble anything. I picked up 4 golf cart tires, which that helps save a little bit of money. I got this set of 4 for 60 bucks, and usually brand new they're 60 bucks a piece. Another thing that I tried to save money on is these live axle hubs. I made those just because for what they are, they're, you know, between $50 and $60 to buy them. So I had some 1/4-inch plate, and all I had to do was buy the weld-on sprocket hubs, and then a guy that I used to work with gave me a set of lug nuts and studs that I could press in. So that helped me there on savings. So that's kind of the drive, how it rolls. I'm just making sure the dog's still around. All right. So I'm sure this will be kind of a, I have no idea on specs on this. I ordered it online. So basically this is the new Predator Max Performance engine. It's 16 horse and I think mid 20s or upper 20s torque, which hopefully works just fine. I bought the adapter that goes from, I can't remember what bolt circle this is, like 6.5 or something like that. And the couplers, I have a 1-inch coupler and a Lovejoy. I don't know if you can see that, but then this is a, can't remember what size coupler that is, but it's to match this pump. And this pump will do up to 3,600 PSI and 10 gallons a minute at as high as this motor can rev. I think the rating on it is 4,000 RPMs, so we'll stay under that just fine. This pump, I think, has the ability to bog this motor out no problem if you're going to run 10 gallons per minute at 3,600 PSI. So I'm kind of going to, I think for the start, I'm going to run the system pressure at 1,500 PSI and then maybe work my way up from there, because I basically everything I bought, let me just make sure that. So that covers the pump and the Lovejoy and the connectors. These are my 2 drive motors. I think they're Danfoss drive motors, and I want to say, I think that's how you rate them, is I think it's 9.8 cubic inches per rev, or cubic centimeters, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a hydraulic wizard, but that's what these are rated for. Again, these have 1-inch shaft, and this is that 10-tooth sprocket that will drive the 13. These at max flow, I think it has like 350 RPM rev. I'm thinking I'm going to be about half that with the flow going to this from my pump. I was kind of thinking 5 gallons a side, you know, full bore on each one. So another one that, you know, I bought the best after all the calculations and looking, and I hope they work. You know, I researched my brain out on all these hydraulic parts to get basically the flow circuitry right, but I'm not sure. And everything that will drive this is this 5-spool valve. This is a eBay thing. Of course, they forgot to send me the 2 levers, so I'll probably just make 5 new ones. That way they all match. But the outsides are going to be the drive, loader arms, loader bucket, and then auxiliary will run to the bucket. I have all the lines and fittings ordered. Hopefully they'll be here in a week or so. But intake, all my working ports, exhaust. This has the ability to do power and beyond if I needed another valve at some point for something to control. And then I'll have the fitting to go from SAE 10 to 1/4-inch MPT for my gauge. That'll come out here. And then I went with 8-gallon tank. From everything I was reading, everybody was saying that for every gallon per minute flow, you need a gallon of hydraulic fluid. So as I was saying, I did go with a 10-gallon per minute pump. I was going to build a hydraulic tank, but metal is just insane right now, and I can basically buy this for cheaper than I can build it. So the layouts on the 10-gallon tanks I couldn't find one that was going to fit where I wanted it to. So I sacrificed 2 gallons per minute. Hopefully it's not going to do any overheating issues. If it does, I can try to splice in some sort of cooler. I don't know. I guess we'll kind of get to that point when we get there. But for right now, I think 8 gallons is going to do just fine. Thinking I went with size 50 chain too. And a lot of the hydraulic fitting lines, hoses, pumps, and adapters, I found a great site called Surplus Center, and they have extremely reasonable prices. I've probably got, just a little over half of all of my parts from that Surplus Center. Obviously, you can't beat a Predator engine. The valve I got on eBay. And then the tank for the 8-gallon, the best price was at Northern Tool. I don't want to put any of these parts in the description just yet. If this thing ends up working out great and it performs the way I think it's going to, I'll post all of the parts that I used in my last video. I just don't want people thinking that I've got this figured out and working and start going off of recommendations that, I'm just taking a conservative guess on, I guess. So I'm going to do multiple videos on this. I kind of meant to, take you along on the build process and, show cuts and welds and everything. And, you get so focused on a project that taking time to video gets out of the way. But I'm kind of hoping, I got her stripped down enough so you guys can see what's going on, and I can kind of take you along from now on and build it. So, I'll try to do some more videos when I go to, the loader and start figuring out flows and stuff like that for everything. But for right now, I am kind of cutting this project in half. I'm going to get everything welded up and moving and the engine running and pumping fluid, whole 9. And then second part of the project in my garage is going to be building the loader and the bucket and, quick attach and aux hydraulics and stuff like that. But for right now, I'll probably do, 5 videos on this as I take you along the build. And I'm kind of, in my garage, splitting this into 2 projects, I guess. The bottom half of the skid loader and then the loader portion in general. So for right now, if you guys have any questions, I can definitely answer them in the comments, or you can shoot me a message as well. Other than that, I'll try to video the best I can as I make some progress. So later.